20 poly cars back in 2002, but I don't think it really counts anymore.
Back and then the good old GTA days where you're like looking above them and the cars are all like
Yeah.
two dimensionals and it's just rectangles on rectangles.
Oh no, I think you're about 5 years out, but not far out. I think we just discovered triangles and
Oh,
and you're all doing 3D. Wow.
oh
So yeah,
man.
that was in the first wave of making 3D things. It was great fun.
Well, awesome. So everybody saw the trailer. Um, I think we'll just go ahead and get into it now. Um,
Great.
but being PC Master Race, I think some of the first things I personally always get into is I want to go into the options, go into the audio, um, see what our various like settings are. They're all about volume 5, maximum volume, so scale 1 to 5. Um, looks good. Apply, and then resolution. So this is kind of where we're at. Tell me a little bit about the number of shadow sources here. What does this mean to me?
Well, so this is like partly a hangover from the end of our first game, which was a game called Deadly Heroes, and it was my first like load of working the Unity engine. So this is using Unity, and the way that I set up the rendering and all of the graphic stuff meant that the number of shadow sources was very important, and I did not want to get burned with having lots of shadow casters slowing down the frame rate. So from the very start, one of the first things I did in the first week was to add a shadow source counter, and it's like there's a lot of code under here. As you run around in the game later on, it will figure out what the most important lights are, and they are allowed to cast shadows. And I limited it to 4. I've got a feeling that it might have been completely pointless because we changed so much about the engine that I don't actually think it really matters anymore. But I left it there just for my own security, so I felt like I had some control over that part of the engine.
See, it's stuff like this that like I absolutely love that we get from like the indie developers, because when you get some of the other types of developers, right? They're like, no, this makes like very little difference. We're taking it out. But this has a
Oh yeah, so
backstory.
I think by the time we finished the game, everything went in so hot. I was thinking, well, I think it still might make a difference, and I'm probably more scared of taking out all the code that it uses than I am of somebody setting it to the wrong setting. Because the weird thing is, it still kind of looks pretty good whether you're using one shadow source or 4, because there's some sneaky coding there, which I'm quite happy with actually.
Ooh. Like I can tell you, just from launching the game, we're doing a blind playthrough. So just from the sheer quality of the game so far, like I'm super excited to play this. I was super excited when they offered me the opportunity to play this with you.
Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely to hear. You're my friend now. You're my friend.
Yes, hear that, guys? I'm winning. So still have to join your Discord. This takes us to the Raw Fury Discord, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Awesome. So, guys, when you get the game, make sure to join that Discord. You're already in our Discord, and if you're not, what are you doing? Um, but without any more, let's go ahead and get into it.
Great.
Okay.
All stories have an end.
All stories have an end. Hey, Jalhard with 1,000 bits. Heck yeah. Look and aim at the same time.
For the living, it's death. For the dead, it's moving on. East or west.
Do you know who you got the voice acting on this? This is pretty cool.
Say we started.
You might have heard of this guy. So this is
After I
Ron
died.
Perlman
For
himself.
the first time.
Oh, man. It sounds very badass. I was like, I know this
Yeah,
voice.
he's a complete legend. We thought Raw Fury were joking when they told us we had, we secured him. I remember they, um, they, 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 within the first 3 months, they said to us, "Oh, we think you could have a really good voice actor, and we think it'd be a good investment. We're willing to pay. So just tell us who your dream actors would be." And we were like, "Well, yeah, whatever." Put him in there, Ron Perlman. And a few weeks later, they told us, "Oh yeah, we got him." I thought they were joking. So we were really chuffed with that.
That's amazing. Okay. So how would you classify this? This isn't quite a MOBA, is it?
No, so I call it a 360 cover-based shooter, which means it's a cover shooter, but with enemies all around you. And so the idea is it's trying to bridge a couple of genres, or shooter genres, and some genres. So one is a twin-stick shooter, so you kind of like move around, screen relative with a raised camera viewpoint. And I've always enjoyed that. That's always like really intuitive, and you feel quite empowered. And then the other flavour is cover, which is almost like the opposite feeling, which is where you feel like you're having to hide and be careful and worry about all sorts of stuff. And I felt like that would be a really interesting way of looking at like a cowboy kind of genre, where people are diving behind cover, counting their bullets until it's time to draw their gun and shoot back.
Yeah. Did you have any inspirational sources from movies or?
So I mean, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't the Western fan out of the two of us that came up with West of Dead. I was the guy that was into twin-stick shooters and turn-based shooters and gameplay references. But Imi, who was the other co-founder, he was like, "Oh, I want to do a Western, and I want it to feel like you're crouching behind barrels and they're shooting the barrels and water's coming out, and all that kind of thing." And I kind of just took that as a mission to do this gameplay that I really wanted to do. So when you're behind cover, you're completely immune until that cover disappears. But what's quite different to other twin-stick shooters is ammo is important. So you will need to pay attention to how many bullets you have in your gun at any time. Wow, you fell off a cliff.
That is not an invisible barrier.
No, that is not. That is not. The only way you can sort of like run against it, but we kind of felt like if you want to dive off there, we'll let you. We'll let you. Well, it is for a reason later on.
That's hilarious and awesome.
So we've been looking at stats of players, and we've been looking at like how many people die on what sort of stages. And I've always been like, because by the time you make the tutorial of a game, you are so ingrained with every single nuance of how the game works that you completely forget that there are some bits that just aren't as obvious as other people. So there's a lot of people that die in the tutorial. And I'm like, how do they die? What do they do? And you're like, well, they do stuff like dive down a chasm to find out if that works and stuff like that. So, and now I've seen it as well.
Live. I'm so used to bumpers, man. Right? Like we were talking about development earlier. Like I'm so used to those bumpers in games.
That's right. We won't let you jump to your death. Oh no, we will a little bit. We will a little bit. You have a sharp edge to us.
That's awesome. It looks like he auto covers when he gets in.
Yeah, that's right. So all you need to do with the cover stuff is just push towards it, and then if you release the bump, the movement, you'll crouch straight away. To be honest, if you're really close to cover, the only way to not recover is to sort of like run alongside or away from it. Then you will realise that you don't really want to take cover. So that's it. So while you're there, he's not going to shoot you. He's going to shoot the cover. And also, if you're shooting him, he still won't shoot you, so it's really great. The only problem is that cover does wear out. There's another bit here, and this rifle that you're using does take a little time to aim, so if you hold down the fire button before releasing, the accuracy will tighten, and also the power. will go up as well. So the thing
Okay.
about rifles, they're almost a little bit like a bow and arrow. The longer you hold it for, the better your shot will be.
Awesome. So it's kind of like a little bit of a charge rifle, but you don't need to
That's
charge
exactly
it up
it,
to fire.
That's exactly it. So yeah, a rifle is really the bit where there are moments where you're feeling like, oh, I really want to get that shot, but if I hold on just a little bit longer, it will be even better.
So, ooh,
Look at that guy, doesn't even know you're there.
that's
Perfect.
Pretty
so you
good.
see how your crosshair is tightening up?
I saw that.
Yeah, when that crosshair meets together, that means it's going to be a perfect shot.
I was like, okay, was there something offset about my mouse? Like, why did he keep shooting off to the left so much? And I was like, I didn't think I was that bad at aiming. So it makes sense that I have
really?
to.
Oh, I didn't notice that. So I'm looking at the crosshair is on the ground. And what it's doing is it's trying to draw a line between the center of your feet along the ground at the back. Whoa! Sorry, this is where I sort of like cackle a little bit.
First, there's darkness.
Did we just get Goomba stomped by a Minotaur?
Weak. Sickly. Reality coils and unfurls in time with a stumbling rhythm.
Sorry, I'm just getting out the way
Corridors,
for wrong here.
doorways, and dust are shattered, twisted, and rearranged. Somehow I know there is something terribly wrong. This is not how death is supposed to be. And I wake.
I was just giving him some space, but there we are. That is the tutorial, and we send you right back here to the start screen. But the camera's different, and it tells you you're in a new chapter. And now this is us trying to sort of like say, oh, this is like a roguelite sort of structure to the game.
Yeah,
So-
like as game progresses, right? Like before that barrier was completely covered, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So now, if you hit new run this time, it should be. Well, you'll see what happens there.
I don't know what folks expect to see when they die. I'm guessing a rundown bar ain't high on the list.
Can I just shoot him? Is that a thing? No.
Don't shoot him.
Sorry, I like to shoot things. All the
Last
things.
thing I expected to see was a rundown saloon. I guess there's always folks looking for a way to ease their path to hell.
You know, I don't think we could have picked a better person to play this game. We got a Texan playing a Western game. Oh, this is beautiful.
Oh, I'm glad you like it. Go on then, say hello. See what he's got to say. I can't remember.
So
Hey.
you guys also got the giveaway.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Our animator did a really nice job. He just added a little glass polish animation, and that's pretty much all the bartender does. But I think that's all he needs to do as well.
This glass is going to be the cleanest glass
Yeah,
in
that's
the
right. That
world.
glass used to be twice that size.
Oh man. Okay, so we got some gambling. Can I play some show tunes? No show tunes? Okay. Well, looks like a skull. That looks like the thing that smashed us.
Oh yeah, see what's through there.
So I could probably dive off of this, right? Are those rocks stopping
Yeah, I
me?
reckon it did, but I'm not sure if it would kill you. It might.
It damages you. Doesn't kill you. Tutorial is like, don't do this. You're gonna have to restart. The game's like, we're a little bit more forgiving here. Okay, let's just hit this.
Oh wow! Look,
I feel like that was a waste. I feel like I should not have done that. Like,
that's okay. You're just setting yourself up for a nice challenge.
yes. Okay. Looks like a couple of short pistols.
That's right. So we've got essentially 4 classes of weapon of like firearms. Got shotguns, pistols, revolvers, and rifles, and they've all got a different flavour in how they handle and feel. But those are just classes. There's like a whole for each class. There's about I don't know, at least 10 different flavours for you to try out as well. But it only starts off with like about a dozen unlocked, and then as you get further through the game, you'll be able to unlock more and more.
Ooh, is that a save point? That looks like a checkpoint, right?
Yes, it is actually. So that you'll see when you walk away from here, in the bottom right corner should be a little skull animation. Yeah, so it's remembered you now.
Okay.
So if you quit the game and restarted the run, you restart from there. But also those points are more than checkpoints, but at the moment you haven't quite found the ability to make them more useful.
That guy's in the dark.
There's someone there, he's in the dark shooting at you. Like somebody shooting at you from the dark is a big no-no in games. But if you get behind cover or switch on that light, you might have to make a dash for it after he shoots though. Or he's not shooting until he sees you. There you go.
Cover-based shooter, right?
That's right, get behind that cover. And now, yeah, take him out.
Always have to kill him all the time. Give me them coins. I hope there's health.
Lovely. So the other nice thing about cover is it will let you begin reloading more quickly, and while you're there, you're reloading. Actually, no, I think it just lets you begin reloading more quickly. So when you're out in the open and you're, hang on. So yeah, you can also. We've got some RPG mechanics here. So figure out what you want, what you like to do next.
Glass cannon. Let's go for it.
You're gonna do it. Love it. That's what I always do as well.
So we got that power up.
So at the moment you've got a save point. I mean that's nice, I suppose. In about 1 level's time, those save points will turn into something a bit more useful as well.
Ooh. So they don't look like they move too much, right? Or
yeah,
am I
these
wrong?
bad guys. I mean, they're just sort of shambling around, waiting for you to appear, and like the columns are pretty useful, but I don't find them as useful as cover really, because if you're into cover, then your reloading is better, and you can also shoot at enemies that can't shoot at you. But they're fine. I mean, it's totally fine as well. All right, so in here we've got people that aren't just ranged, but will come and get you.
I see that. Got them zombies.
That's right, yeah. So I mean, pretty much every baddie in this level are our flavour of zombies. So we call them endless. And this setting that you're in is like a really sort of strange, kind of like quite freewheeling place, which we just call purgatory, which is like a weird, surreal afterlife shaped by the beliefs and fears of its inhabitants. Which really means that we just have free reign to put whatever we want in there. And these baddies here we call them endless, which are souls that got destroyed and rebuilt so many times just from the place where they are. But they've forgotten who they were. They're just running on purely on instinct, blindness. But they don't stop, that's why they're endless. So yeah, I mean, here's like one of the big components we've got here, which is switching on lanterns. So the big no-no is, you shouldn't really, in video games, very naughty to have baddies attack you from somewhere you can't see them. But what we try to do is we did that because we also gave you lanterns that you can light, and if you light them, it will stun them as well. So it gives you a reason to get into the center of the room, switch on the lantern, stun the baddies, and see where they are. And it was really a bid to try and make this kind of this 360 cover shooter work without having to teleport enemies in all the time, which is quite often how like twin stick shooters work. You're in the center of a room, and then they were zapping a load of baddies all around you.
Yeah.
And I had this like quite highfalutin idea of, oh, it'd be great if they were already there, but you didn't know they were there. And we really liked this idea of there being, enemies creeping out from the shadows, which really matches the art style as well.
Yeah, like, did you find it difficult to, like, balance that out with, like, too many lanterns, not enough lanterns?
Yeah, absolutely. So the amount of lanterns that are lit or unlit is just a number, it turns out, because these levels are, well, you haven't died yet for this level, but these levels are procedurally generated. So a lot of these props will be different the next time round, the order of the rooms, what rooms there are, and what lanterns are on or off. So we ended up doing a lot of tuning to try and figure out what would be a kind of like feel fair. Oh!
So we've died a couple of times now. You said these are randomly generated. Will this be the same level now that I come back into it?
Thematically, it's exactly the same, but what's where will be completely different.
Okay.
I always expected resurrection to be holy, pure.
That's so you can't just memorize it.
That's right, the same barman's there though.
Was a long ways from that promise.
It'd be real interesting, like, for, like, speed runs.
Yeah, I mean, we are still trying to figure out how best to do that. There's been some other really great roguelites who've done like a daily run or a weekly run. And I think that might be a really nice way of doing it, where everybody gets to play the same seed, which is, sorry, the seed is the number that we use to set up our random number generator. So 2 runs that start with the same seed and the same initial conditions would be identical. But what we always do is when you start a new run, we put a completely different seed in.
That's awesome. Like, to put it in simpler terms, right? Is this kind of like how, like, random Minecraft servers are different?
Yeah, very much. So every single level is built out of similar ingredients, but the amounts are varied a little bit. So we have a good idea on the kind of enemies that you see, and the kind of rooms that you might find, but where they appear and what order you see them and whereabouts they are is different every time. And we had quite a lot of thinking about trying to make sure that the game felt fair and that there was a good kind of like difficulty progression, and not just completely hand everything over to like a computer that doesn't care about that kind of thing. So we ended up having a middle ground where we would handcraft these recipes, but then let the code figure out a bit more of what to do with these recipes.
Now, like, when you're coding something like that, is that like one of the more difficult parts of like game development, or?
Oh, I found it really hard. This was the first time that I'd ever done anything to do with procedural generation, and in fact I found it so hard that I got an ex-colleague of mine to write it the first time round. So first of all, we actually got some third-party code that did random dungeons, and then my ex-colleague learned loads from that and then made his own version, and then I ended up sort of like adopting the code myself. So I can't even say that I made my own system. like all I've really done is I've kind of like I've been a caretaker to other people's code. So it's not very satisfying, to be honest. But I do understand how it works now because I've rewritten it a couple of times. So,
That's awesome.
yeah, it's been a really lovely learning experience. But it is difficult. It's probably the most complicated code in the game. And the other thing that's really tricky about it is if it's different every time, testing it can be really hard. Because normally, with testing reports, you'll have something like, oh, I got to the third room in this level, and then I fell off a cliff, or this glitch happened. And because it's different every time, it's really hard to replicate these bugs exactly the same. So we had to build more code to go on top of the code, so that we can reproduce all this stuff. So it's just like just code and code and code.
Oh, that's dynamite. That's gonna hurt.
Oh yeah, look out for that. Very nice. That rifleman he's really brutal.
He is.
He means to kind of like drill into the players about how important cover is. So if you get behind that cover, you should be safe. Very good. You're learning well.
So I'm looking at it seems that like a slow gameplay is actually very advantageous for this, right? Like you almost like kind of want to go guns blazing while cover. Is that
That's right, yeah. So you kind of want to just screech into there, switch on the first light you can see if there is one, and then empty both barrels, move to another bit of cover. And your movement is quite good into cover as well. So if you dive towards cover, we added a completely different animation. So you slide in, so you get extra cool points as well.
like that? Ah, okay.
Perfect. Yeah, very nice, very nice.
He even slides over it? That's cool.
Oh, and of course, yeah, you can slide over it. And the whole reason we added that was because we like the idea of there being baddies all around you. So if you were in a sensible room and you've got one table, how do you make sure that you're on the right side of that table? Running all the way around the table was a bit of a bore. So we really like the idea of you sliding over it like, you know, like the bonnet of a car.
So looks like they're a little bit of an overshield. Is that what I'm seeing on them? They have a shield and then a health bar? Or is the yellow bar...
Yes, that's right. That's their stun bar. Yeah, very good, very good. So yeah, if you keep pounding on the same enemy, they will get stunned, and then that will keep them out of action for a good few seconds. So yeah, this is like a special room where you don't yet have the stroke spears ability to get to the other side. So don't try jumping off, it won't work, I'm afraid.
I was just about to. I was like, I wonder if this is one of those secrets where like I jump off.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, that definitely seems like a trap in there.
Which way?
I wonder if I go in this other room, do they follow? Can I draw them in?
Some
Yeah.
will, and some won't, so you can kite them out.
Oh, but I'm not even... Oh, yeah, I am.
So yeah, some people will do this as well. If the game is feeling a bit tough or a bit low in health, they're not trying to kite out some of them. But the ranged guys, they don't really get lured out too much. So, perfect, do exactly the right thing.
Wait for him, he's gonna take some shots.
Very nice.
Bait the shots.
Don't worry, that cover that was lost will come back as well.
I've been seeing that.
Lovely.
It's been restarting.
There you go.
You know, just for posterity's sake, right?
That's all right.
So, you know, without giving too much details away, like, I know I play a lot of, like, RPGs and a lot of different games where, like, we're going here and we're, like, trying to find all the corners for, like, little secrets, maybe, like, a badass weapon. Are you guys hiding things in shadows, or?
But we have what we effectively call loot boxes, but really they're just like dangling bits of goodies on chains, and they are kicking around. They're full of good things, which can be handy.
Awesome. So, I'm really bad at these types of games, cover shooters in general.
You're playing well. What we found is because, like the very impressive sounding thing is, oh, we're reinventing twin stick shooters, and that was like the very impressive line that was in the back of my mind. But what that really means is, anyone that is a fan of either twin stick shooters or cover based shooters, both of those groups have a bit of an adjustment that they need to make in order for this game to work. But usually it kind of like happens in the first half hour. So after that first half hour, you're like, wow, this is really weird. I'm used to just running around shooting all the time, or I'm used to just ducking behind cover and it never disappearing. Both of those things that gaming has allowed you to do in the past, we break both of those things in this game, annoyingly. So you kind of have to learn new tricks to get around it. But we hope that when people get over that and learn some of the nuances, it gives them something that's neither a cover or a twin stick shooter, but a bit of both.
Yeah, this is I don't normally like these games, and I'll be perfectly honest, like I'm loving this so far. It's just enough challenging, just enough rewarding so far that people like me that don't like these are very interested in this, to be quite honest.
Love it. I'm glad to hear.
I'm not just saying that because you're here. Like, you can ask anybody. I'll give you my free opinion, right, wrong, or indifferent. I did see we had a question in the chat. Sorry, guys. I haven't been paying attention to chat too much. It looks like, did you start the development to make a cover-based shooter and turn it into kind of like what it is now? Or was this the idea to start? Like, I think they called it a rogue. So
I'm gonna be very, very unimpressive. So our creative process, or certainly my creative process, is whenever I'm working on the current game, I'm always trying to collect ideas and things that I like the idea of for the next game. So I magpie, that's what I call it. I just magpie shiny things, and I was really into all of these things, and I thought, oh, what if I'm enjoying roguelites at the moment. I'll put that in my box of the next game. And I'd like to do something with cover-based shooters, and I'd like to do something with twin stick shooters. I'll put those in my box of the next game. And then Imi was like, oh, I want to do a cowboy game. And I'm like, oh, cool, okay. I'll put that in the box. So really, we ended up getting to the end of our first title. You know, I just looked in my metaphorical box of all the things that I thought was hot and cool that I really wanted to mess around with, and in it was cover-based shooters, twin stick shooters, roguelites, cowboys, comic books, horror, all of that stuff. We thought, well, let's see if we can mish it all together, and that's how this sort of game came to be. That's not very cool, sort of.
No, that's been great, right? Like, I just did, like, my personal thought so far is I kind of see like True Grit meets like Hellrider, and then so that's kind of like just the atmosphere that I have going on, and then the gameplay goes from like Gears of War to Diablo style,
Nice.
and I'm like, I don't know if these had anything to do with the development, but like it's this amalgamation of all of it, and it's working really well so far. I hope everybody else is enjoying it and seeing it the same way I am.
Oh, that's really lovely to hear, because all of those things that you mentioned are really good.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it that way. So yeah. Ooh, so I can buy these.
Ah, yeah. So this is where we start opening up some of the roguelite elements.
So we have a shop. Now, I'm low on health. Is there
Oh,
there a-
yeah.
is
We
there a
might have to
way?
do something about that. Maybe try the other door to the right. See what's along there.
Oh, hello, health person. Oh,
I
it's
have a
the
question. I have a question, if that's okay.
yeah. Go
Cool.
for it.
Yeah. Do you personally play this with keyboard and mouse or controller?
I personally play it with keyboard and mouse because, well, first of all,